This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring author, psychologist, and daily contributor, Shavaun Scott.
Nicolae Miu, he is the man in that infamous river video that you may have seen on social media out of the Apple River in Wisconsin. He's the older gentleman who was shoved down in the water. Looks like he's being attacked by a mob of kids. And if you watch really closely, you'll realize that he started stabbing them in self-defense. That's what he claimed. The jury did not buy that argument, though, and they did find him guilty of first-degree reckless homicide. The original charge is first-degree intentional homicide, which would have been him standing on the other side of the river going, I'm going to go kill me some kids. That's not exactly what happened at all. But the jury has spoken. Sentencing still yet to take place. Joining me to discuss this case, and it's just horrible all around, Shavaun Scott, psychotherapist and author. You got a chance to review the videos in their entirety. Let's just start there. What was your reaction to what was going on in that chaos?
Just absolute awful behavior. I saw a lot of testosterone mixed with alcohol and a big group of people who were all fired up. Mm-hmm. And that's always, you're going to have a bad outcome when you get that going. And all parties on that river had been drinking. And I think a lot of them had been drinking a lot. Yeah. And it was confusing what was going on. At one point, he was clearly being attacked. Was he in danger of, losing his life? Probably not. But was he aware of that? Mm-hmm. I think he was definitely having the fight or flight response. And we know when people go into that response, they lose rational thought, and if you have somebody with a gun or a knife, you're going to have a bad outcome at that point. And it's just, it was horrendous what happened. The way that the kids were killed was horrendous. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he went over there with the intent of, I'm going to stab people. No. But he truly had a fight or flight response. He was in fight. Yeah. And it was just horrible.
Let's talk about what was going on with the kids, first of all, because that's where this fighting begins. There's this literally mob mentality, this group of young adults drunk in the river, and they're attacking him. They're pushing him down. They're calling him a rapist and a predator. I mean, just the most vile things with no basis whatsoever, other than there's a stranger here looking for a phone. And he's trying to explain it of what he's doing. And all they want to do is scream and yell like hyenas. And I mean, it was a really kind of scary thing just to watch. And it's not like we haven't seen this before. And I'm sure this probably was running through his mind as well. It is very common that we see today, unfortunately, groups and mobs of young people going and killing people because of the mob and that mentality. Let's speak to what the heck was going on in the minds of those kids and how this even took place. Because to me, it's kind of baffling. I can't contemplate being in a group of friends back then that would have gone and done something like this to a random stranger. But we're seeing it a lot. Why is that?
It does seem to be when you mix alcohol and aggression and group dynamics, particularly with young men, that there's this performative aspect. They amp each other up. They catch it. It's almost like the aggression is catching, and they start entertaining each other, and they go into this, the hysterical laughing and the bizarre. It has that sadistic quality to it. And we've seen it in other cases, and it's a lot of the factor that happens in gang violence when people do these horrendous things, that if you had it one individual alone, they would never go there. But when you put them all together, it's caught, it's contagious, and it amplifies. So it's a wonderful example, horrible example, but a wonderful portrayal of what social contagion looks like.
And that's an interesting thing. And I think something that I think most of us are probably not very familiar with. We kind of think, well, everybody's, here's how they act normally. This is how they're balanced. Just because there's more people around, not necessarily going to make you do something that extreme, but it surely does. I mean, is this something, and we see it in men a lot, but we see it in groups of girls too, and women. It's not just specifically males. What changes in the brain? What is it that's going on that suddenly I think what makes it so sick is the joy that they seem to be getting out of torturing another human being. And these are probably kids that aren't necessarily walking around getting joy out of any of that in normal life.
Right. Yeah, it really does seem to be. They go into this bizarre kind of amygdala aggression where the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, is where we get good judgment, where we get problem solving, where we get planning. It's like that shuts down. And we've seen it a lot historically in war times when you get these. I think of the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, where you just had, a village of people just who were not threatening at all, who were just completely wiped out. And it becomes this kind of primate, very primitive reaction. It seems to be a hallmark of our species that when you get the wrong combination of people together, particularly with this group mentality, us against them, you get the worst of human behavior.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.